Hey everybody, I'm Adrian Nelson from AHNGreatLife.com, and today the things that I want to speak about, they're a little bit on the heavy side. I want you to know right from the start that I'm not trying to rile anybody up or anything like that, but with the expansion taking place in the world and with us being unfolding beings and growing beings, I think in many ways, the time for sort of like bubblegum spirituality has really, really passed, and that is, of course, not a judgment towards anybody, but there's new information, and when I say new information, I think the thing also to understand is that we sometimes believe when we, for example, say that we've got a psychic download that I got new information. But technically speaking, nothing in the universe is new. The message is always there. It is just, that as we grow, we are able to sort of like, interpret and pick up messages that's always been there. It's almost like there may have always been strawberries in the fridge, but we were never interested in strawberries. And when you become interested in it, then somebody can say, oh, there's some strawberries in the fridge. It's almost like that. So I'm going to tell you how this all came about, but some of the topics that I'm going to speak about today is miscarriage, suicide, exit points, which is sort of like, dying, free will, karma, and why we as human beings actually like being on planet Earth so much. All right. Now, I'm just going to very quickly tell you how all of this came about. And for those of you that don't know me, I am a born intuitive. I've had a NDE when I was born, so a near-death experience. There was some complications over there. I remember that at that last sort of moment when I was about to come into life, that I sort of went like, was this actually the best thing to do? And I wanted to change my mind. But I got what I think people almost explain like a sort of like a hollow graph type of thing that sort of like shows to you the implications of your choices. And when I saw that, I decided to come back. And I remember myself coming through this white tube of light and very happy and also sort of a little bit apprehensive simultaneously. And so for many years, I told people, I remember myself being born. And, obviously people were like cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo type of thing. But anyway, what happened is, so in my capacity, I've been a Reiki master for a while in crystal healing and working with the angelic realm, but I wanted to bring that all together. And then in 2018, I had the incredible opportunity to bring all of that together in my regression hypnosis sessions, or what some people call past life regression. There's a lot more of that information on my website, ahngreatlife.com, and you're more than welcome to check that out. There's a link down below in the description. You're more than welcome to join me on Facebook and Instagram and, TikTok if you want to. But I speak a lot about, things over there, and I try to share helpful articles and information. And because I think a lot of times when we work in our capacity, so I do a lot of channeling, and I think a lot of times we almost believe that if you do channeling, that it has to only come from, your source, your team, your guides. But we all one and we all connected. And if I see something incredible from, what another person did and that really resonates with me, I'm going to share that instead of trying to do everything myself, because then I'll just be channeling all day long. I won't be doing anything else. Also, the funny thing with channeling is that the more you understand, the more you're able to grasp the messages that comes in for you. It's almost like tarot reading. So I've been doing tarot for about 20 years now. And you can just learn tarot reading itself, and I mean, I've got this detailed or step-by-step tarot reading course, and whilst it's very sort of detailed, really, it's very much sort of like just touching the brim, and when you learn other things like astrology and numerology and enneagrams and color therapy and all those sort of things, EFT, whatever, you get a broader understanding of tarot. So it's very much like that with channeling as well. The more you know, the more you're capable of getting. So what happened is, sort of late in, I'm not always good with time. We're 2022 now. So, time is really so fluid, So sort of like in the later part of 2021, I had a regression hypnosis session with a client, and it was amazing. It was beyond incredible. Like, blew my mind. Even the all sessions do, because they are just amazing. It doesn't really matter whether they're online or in person. they're just amazing. But I had a session with a client, and um, then this client has, for a number of years, I believe, been receiving sort of like universal guidance with a psychic that she's been working with, somebody that I know really, really well. And so afterwards, there were some concerns because then, when the psychic sort of tapped in with her, she found that there was sort of like in a soul plan, in her life plan, there was that sort of stipulation going forward that she will get a child, that she'll get a son. And I kind of picked it up as well because I actually had obviously a bit of a conversation with her, and I pick up your energy as well. And so post session, this person, it was almost like a star that was on her back. The star sort of disappeared, which means the child was no longer sort of like, in the coming, in the making, in the happening. And I remember that there was a little bit of controversy around that, and I'm like one of those people, if I don't know, I'm not going to sort of, pretend that I do know. And so I remember that, we discussed it a little bit, myself and this, psychic person. So we're like two psychics that are talking about things, and we know there's new information that is, if you want to call it, coming in. And so we were sort of like a little bit baffled about it. And I said to her, don't worry, I'm going to check in with my team. And my team, they call themselves Smile. And so I sort of put it out them to them, but I didn't receive a response right away. And I said, like, I'm not getting anything right now, but that's what I do. I will put it out there, and if I get it coming back to me, it will come when it's meant to come. And I have, like, you get very different sort of like psychic abilities and things like that. And, I always say that labeling things, it's sometimes we almost limit things when we label them, but for the sake of relevance, I've got a strong sense of clear cognizance, which means I just know things like I've always known them in complete detail, even though 10 minutes ago I didn't know them at all. So last night I was sitting on my couch and I sort of forgot about this, but I think I've been doing a lot of group healings at the moment. Actually, currently at the point of recording this video, which is January the 29th, 2022, I'm working with this, with a quite a big group, myself and someone else, aligning with new moon sort of energy. We're doing a lot of clearing. I'm doing a lot of work within myself. I've been doing a lot of regression hypnosis sessions lately. And so my energy is quite high, and the higher your energy is, the more you're able to receive. And that is also why it's so important to really do what I call conscious living, to look after your health, to look after your body, to look after your mindset, your mental state, your emotional state, your inner peace, your harmony, your zen, those type of things, your surroundings, who you actually interact with, because the company that you keep in many ways, be it energetic company, be it physical company, even the things that you read, the things that you watch on television, the things that you open your mind to are the things that become your reality of life. It really is that simple, which brings me to suicide a little bit later on, because that is something that really, really made me wonder for a very, very long time, and I suddenly got the answer last night. So, we were both a little bit baffled, and I said, well, the thing is, obviously, when you have a regression hypnosis session, or what a lot of people call past life regression, you sort of change everything. And so the way that this came about is, I'm quite excited. I don't want to go all over the place because I'm really excited to share this information with you. And also at the same point, it might be hurting the feelings of some. And I want you to know that my intention is not to be hurtful in any way whatsoever. And I actually think that this video may bring a lot of peace and a lot of peace of mind for a lot of people. Okay, so what I then got is that, obviously when you do regression hypnosis session, you completely change. You release a lot of maybe past vows that you took on, things from previous lives, internal beliefs that are not serving you positively. But whatever you have in the subconscious mind, it contributes towards the future that you build. And a lot of times when we have a child, for example, coming into our lives, or just a person in general coming out into our lives, they can often come to help us ascend to that next level and to learn very powerful lessons. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that I don't have children myself. Okay, but I've got two nephews, and I mean, they everything to me. They're golden, you know. Um, and I do have quite a love for human beings. And I think sometimes because I don't have kids, it almost like puts you in a bit of a way where you can see things almost more objectively, you know. And the simple truth about life is that all children are a blessing, yes, obviously. But the simple truth about life is that not all children that come into this world turn out to be everything that we hope for them to be. You know, some of them, they come in and they bring a lot of happiness, they bring a lot of sadness, you know, they really break our hearts. But a lot of times, you know, it might be part of a lesson that we need to learn. You know, maybe acceptance of others, or, you know, how you can realize how much you can, the capacity that you have to love no matter what a person does. So, you know, yes, I believe that all children are a blessing, but the simple truth is that not all children that come into this world, not all people that come into this world, all souls that incarnate into this world, not all of them come about and, you know, sort of bring a lot of happiness. So when you basically have something like a regression hypnosis session, in a sense you kind of get to um, clear a lot of your, you know, your karma, your negative karma, and you replace it with positive things, which means there might be very difficult lessons going forward that, you know, that this new person coming in might have sort of like contributed towards you learning, that you don't need to learn anymore because you kind of get it now, and your vibration and your alignment is different. Okay, and so in that sense, even though you know, obviously, you know, losing a child, I think it's one of the most painful things that can actually happen to a person. I obviously know people that has happened to, and I want you to know that I've got complete compassion for that. But you know, when you look at things from almost like a universal sort of point, the first thing to remember is that nothing happens to any soul without their permission. Absolutely nothing. You know, be it that you're a person in this life, be it that you know, you sort of like in the energy realm, or what we sort of call life between lives, you know, like the in between stage. Um, and sometimes when your vibration has changed, you may not need to learn a certain lesson anymore. And then there's not really a need for that soul to come in, you know, to the physicality where we live. Because even though Earth is really amazing and Earth is a school and it's incredible and you get to experience life and so forth, the simple truth is that Earth isn't an easy place. You know, life isn't an easy place. A soul is not really going to come here if you don't have to, because Earth is a very, very challenging place. I always say that, you know, Earth's a little bit gangster. It really, really is, you know. And I think in the sort of the realms, you know, it's always like, oh, you're going to Earth, or like you've gone to Earth, you know, like that sort of thing, because Earth is challenging. And so I was speaking about this with a very, very good friend of mine, and somebody in her family, two people got pregnant, and then they lost the baby, and now they're pregnant again, and they are so almost like they really mature to that next sort of level, because I think a loss like a miscarriage, it really, really shakes you. And so when you get that second chance around, you know, you are really in it. And you know, and I remember I was literally just thinking. I didn't say it yet because we were texting. And I remember I was my thinking was going in the lines of, you know, maybe that baby, the previous baby, the first soul, just came to prepare the way for the next soul. And then, you know, it's almost like Smile was speaking to me, and the thing about psychic ability, I will actually really say that psychic ability is very much overrated. It really, really is, because it's a natural thing and we all have it. And we, you know, I've got this 8 weeks mind unlocking and psychic development course that I present via a private Facebook group, and in that course, I teach you how to open your mind, how to connect to the psychic flow that is natural. Because I believe there was a time that we were all on Earth completely connected to everything, but then our mind, you know, obviously there's the forgetting thing with the veil when you come here, and there's been eons of sort of like programming in humans, like you're not that strong, and you know, you should almost beg God to give you mercy for whatever. But we're part of everything, and everything is part of us, you know. And um, the universe wants you to win. God, source of all, Allah, Jehovah, whatever word that you use, the allness, you know, it's like, I would say that that which really can't be named wants you to win. want you to be happy, want you to be successful, you know. And I think a lot of times we struggle because we believe that we have to almost grovel um, to life, to source, to the universe, to the angels, to our guides, to our guardians, please, 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 if it's not an inconvenience sort of thing. But the thing to remember that as a human being, you are a representative of universal possibility, okay? And the universe wants you to win because the universe is all about expansion. And I think sometimes we get so sort of stuck in, where did I come from? Where was I a star seed? Where was I a light seed? What sort of past life did I live in? Even though it's very powerful when we understand where we are coming from, it's about where you are going. It's about where you are heading. But sometimes the past can really help us with that. But anyway, so the thing that came to me so clearly was almost like, who says that it's a different child? Who says that it's a different soul? That could have been part of the preparation of everything where the soul's like, okay, I'm going to come into the experience of life. But maybe these two people are not 100% ready yet for me. And instead of coming and, being that child that has to suffer and, through lots and lots of years, and then the other one comes and the parents learn their lesson, they can actually just learn it like that. And so sometimes, souls can work like that. And it really sort of blew my mind because I didn't really think about it like that, And that is the incredible thing about sort of like, being in conversation with the universe. You don't know everything, but when we put it out there and we wait for the answer and we don't sort of put ourselves on that pressure that you must know the answer now, because I think a lot of us that sort of practice sort of like, I don't know, being psychics or universal sort of, I don't know, what would you call them, counselors. A lot of times we feel almost like if you are valid, then you should know the answer right away. But who makes up these rules? Um, and so then I was in a point like I've been wondering about something for a very long time, and I was like, well, I'm clearly in a flow at the moment, so I'm just going to ask some more questions. And so the thing that I wondered about was suicide. Now, the amazing thing is when you are able to raise your vibration to that higher level, um, you are still busy thinking the question and the answer already comes to you. And so the one thing that I was wondering about was suicide, because for me it was like, if what you focus upon is what you bring into your life, people that are typically, and I've been highly suicidal myself before, and I know there's like a chemical reaction that starts taking place in your brain, so you don't really think of mentioning it to anybody or asking for help or anything like that. You often think that you're doing the world a favor by leaving. But so then the thing that I was wondering that, when people are normally suicidal, they're very focused, they zoned in on that. So if you are zoned in on suicide, then why don't you just get an accident and die? Why is it that you then stick around on Earth? And so the explanation that was given to me is that, first of all, there are multiple exit points. You can technically leave this life whenever you want to. You are really not stuck here. And they were very clear about that when they sort of like communicated it to me. And I was like, okay, I get y'all. And this is how I came up with the suicide thing. But now, why is it that when you're so focused on leaving, that the last thing that happens is you leaving? And they were like, so the thing to understand is that when you are in a space where you are highly suicidal, you technically speaking, in a sense, you're against life because you want to get away from life. But you can't really get away from life because you are life and life is you. So in a sense, you're kind of like opposed to yourself, and you're sort of out of the flow of life. You're out of the flow of the essence of life. And because you're out of the flow, you cannot get what you're focusing on because, you're not, um, I don't know how to really put it. I mean, these concepts are vast, you know, and I hope that it's not blowing anybody's mind. Just take it as it resonates. But the thing is that you are the essence of life. You're the flow of life. And I think something that Teal Swan says, which is so amazing, is that if you really allow yourself, if you're like highly suicidal, you allow yourself for a moment to just sort of sit down and tap into the energy of you post life. There's nothing, because life is an ongoing thing. It doesn't really stop, you know. And I think that sometimes when we do commit suicide, you kind of no longer have a body, and you sort of like, okay, it's not really all that different, everything is still there. And I think it's the same thing that we even have with sometimes like let's say somebody taps in with a past loved one. We have this idea that when somebody passed, they're like this very benevolent, love and light sort of being that just gets everything. But the thing is that when you're not alive, as what we call alive, you just don't have this body, but you're still you. So people are very similar to the way that they are in the body, outside of the body as well. And I think even with like, as I said in the beginning, with me sort of like changing my mind, in many ways, in life, I can sometimes have the thing where, I will be a little bit trippy and I get to that last point. I'm like, oh my goodness, didn't I make a mistake sort of thing. And I think there's that idea that people sometimes have that, when you work with the universe and you're very psychically attuned and everything, that you've got life 100% together. But the simple thing is that we are all beings in the making and we're all beings in the unfolding. And so even with something like free will, or what we sometimes call canceling contracts, life is a lot more fluid than we actually sort of give it credit. You change one thing, everything else changes, and whilst we have sort of like a life plan for this earth, it's very much that it's a plan, the universe is a lot less rigid than I think we sometimes sort of like make it out to be. Like just because you agree to something in a certain sense doesn't almost mean that if you don't go through with that agreement that you're doing something terrible, because there are really no wrong choices in the universe, even if you say this is what I'm going to do, there are also multiple options existing for if you do it and if you don't do it, and to what degree you do it and stop doing it and that sort of thing. And then the last thing, something that I always wondered about, and so I decided to check in with that as well. Because obviously my life is busy sometimes and I don't always get the time to really go to that almost like ascended level where answers just come to you so easily. So the other thing was karma. And it was very interesting what I got with karma, I must tell you, because karma in a sense is basically cause and effect. What you put out there, it multiplies, it comes back to your life. Boom, that's it. That's karma. And so when we get a broader understanding of life and how life works and how to create life and create things and so forth, I think what we do sometimes, we run a little bit of a mile with that. Or it's easy to sometimes begin to run a mile with it, and rather put it like that. And once we begin to understand how life works and how creation and manifestation and law of attraction works, it's very easy to get into a space where we almost become self-destructive, or we're destructive to others, which in a sense is also self-destructive because we're part of everything and everything is part of us. And so karma is almost one of those things that, like it was explained to me, it's almost like a safety switch. So if you go too far, you start creating things for yourself that are not really conducive to what it is that you want to have. So then your life becomes less pleasant. But because you're sort of like more enlightened and you understand more and you know more now, you also have the ability to then come back and to recreate things for yourself in a different way. And those people that sort of like lose everything and then, 12, 13 months down the line, they're multimillionaire again. There's something that they get that other people don't get, but you can also be taught how to get that. And so sometimes when we go into that space where we sometimes like almost like abuse our power, as I say, with great power comes great responsibility, then we start having those things that are not so pleasant for us, but then we also know how to get them back again. Okay, so I hope this helped you all. I'll make some more sort of videos like this in between my weekly readings that I do for all the zodiac signs. But from my heart, namaste, love and light. I hope that helps you. I'll see you around.